Hello, good evening. My name is Kingsley KK. We'll continue on our last class. Before we start, I want to wish you a happy new month. And I strongly believe that you had a lovely and a spontaneous day. Today, we'll be looking at overlapping basics period. From our definition here, we say overlapping basic period occurs when a basic period is common to more than 1 year of assessment. That's what we mean by overlapping period. Basic periods will overlap or coincide mostly in the application of commencement rule or sometimes the change in accounting date. You remember your commencement rule, whereby we have 3 major years of computing and the 3 rules. Firstly, from the day of commencement to the government fiscal year. The second rule, from the day of commencement to the next 12 months. And the third one is the 12th month based on preceding year basis. So having this commencement rule at mind, but we have to note that where there is an overlapping basis period, a qualifying capital expenditure is acquired on the date that falls into more than one basis period. There is therefore the problem of identifying the year where the assets can be deemed to have been acquired. It is very clear an asset on a particular date can hardly be said to have been acquired in more than 1 year. The general practice is that where an asset can be located into more than one tax year, the allocation will be made on the earlier tax year. Hence, initial allowance can be claimed in that earlier tax year. What I just threw light on now is the overlapping basis period. On our note here, we said it occurs when a basis period is common to more than 1 year of assessment. So you remember when we apply the law of commencement rule, that's where you will see that the basic period overlap. So looking at the first question we have there, we say consider LAB Limited that commenced business on the 1st of April 1995 and has chosen 31st December every year as its permanent tax year. You are determining when initial allowance can be claimed on the following expenditure. We have building, we have furniture, we have motor vehicles, and we have generator. The reason why we are using commencement rule in preparing this solution and preparing the basis period is because of the word commenced, or sometimes cannot be commenced, can say started. And note that there's some places where you see established and commenced. Note that on that note, the one you should be looking at is commenced. And it's said to establish a business, but I have not started it. So on the point you should note is when the business actually was commenced. That is when you talk about the commencement rule. So looking at this, remember it's prepared on a 3-year basis. So we have the tax year 95, 96, and 97. Then we are on the solution now. We're looking at the basic period for profit. For accessible profit or profit, the same thing. No, accessible profit, note please. Accessible profit, not profit. Accessible profit. So we look at 1995. We said the business commenced when on the 1st of April 1995 to the government fiscal year, which is fiscal year is 31st of December. Then the information here says again, from the date of commencement to the next 12 months, which is from the 4th of April, when you count 12 months front, you have 31st of March 1996. When you go to the previous notes, you see where I give out the date on how to compute this. Then remember that on this case, the basic period, like we already explained, is assessment. So the basic period for assessable profit is the same for capital allowance. So then for 1997, we said it's based on preceding year basis. Note, why 31st December 1996 was chosen was not because it's a government fiscal year, please. The reason it was chosen was they said this company prepares its account every 31st December. So they said here, consider Lab Limited that commenced business on 1st of April and has chosen 31st December every year as its permanent tax year. It simply means that on every 31st December, that is when they close this account. So on the preceding year basis, we'll check the time the business draws up account, then we now count 12 months back. So on that singular note, we're having the 1st of January down to the 31st of December 1996. So you see that same thing applies here also on the basic period for capital allowance. Then what to note now is based on the overlapping period. If we are computing, where do we compute, or which year do we charge capital allowance to? So looking at it, for building was purchased on the 7th of January 1995. And note that when this building was purchased, the business have not commenced. The business commenced on the 1st of April 1995, and we were told that the building was bought on the 7th of January 1995. It simply means that in respect of assets acquired before the date of commencement, I said irrespective of the assets acquired before the date of commencement of business. Like we have seen this building, just for example, let's say this lab limited is, let's say they're into production of, what are you going to use? Let's say production of oil, granite oil, and decide to say by April we're going to start business, but we don't have land. Then decide to acquire the land on the 1st of January. Note, like I explained to you, that asset is best disposed at when? The beginning of the year, and best purchased at the end of the year. So the people who sell asset at the beginning of the year have enjoyed their annual allowance and are selling it up. So I said, point to note, in respect of asset acquired before the date of commencement of business, the general rule is that where an asset is purchased before the date of commencement, and there is proof that the first use to which the asset will be put will be for the purpose of the business, they are deemed to have been acquired on the first day of the business. And meanwhile, in this situation, you see that we will now take it that this building was bought or was purchased on the 1st of April 1995. So we are trying to know. You will see the coincidence of date between 95 and 1996 of assessment in the period of 1st of what? 1st of what? 1st of April 1996 to 31st of December 1996, and the period 1st of what? Sorry, 96, and the period 1st of what? January 96 to and 31st of March 96, between 96 and 97 year of assessments. Observe the assets have been allocated to the earlier what? Taxes. So what I'm trying to explain. Looking at the question here, you will see that we have explained for building January 7th, 95, but we assume to be got on the year of commencement. That's why it's on this place. The next thing is furniture. Furniture was gotten on the 28th of April 95. The business commenced when? 1st of April 95. So we are having the furniture here because it falls in between the gap. The next thing there is a motor vehicle was bought in the year 96 on the 19th of February, and you see that this falls on the second basis period, which if you look at it, we are having in this place, in this part of it. Look up here, I'm zooming now. You see we are having 31st March, and so that means we have 1st of January 1996. We also have 1st of February 1996. We also have 1st of March 1996. Therefore 1902 for vehicles falls in between this range. That's why you are seeing motor vehicle there. Then for generator set, which was born 21st of July 98, looking at this place, the basic period, definitely you will see that it falls within that same region. So we are having our generator set. So when computing, we have seen where we are training our allowances to. So because I want first of all to understand what overlapping pay period is. Yes. So we understand what it is. So when solving calculations, we will not get confused. So we have explained what an overlapping period means. And we have actually explained to you that an asset that is acquired before the date of commencement, and the rule applies that since there is a proof that the first use to which the assets will be for the purpose of the business, therefore they are deemed to have been acquired on the first day of business. So we will not say because the asset will have not been there, then we'll now leave it. No, to be assumed that the asset was acquired on the first day the business commenced. So looking at our solution, we have seen the basic period of capital allowance. This will continue from the first year. Are you seeing it? Unlike this one, because of the commencement, that is where we are having this overlapping period. Looking at this one ends at 31st 12. The next year applies the commencement rule, but on our capital allowance, we're taking at this the start day. So on this is what we talk about. This is what we explain about the overlapping period. But what I explained to you is that when it's an overlapping period, a qualifying capital expenditure is acquired on the date that falls into more than one basis period. There is therefore the problem of identifying the year which the asset can be deemed to have been acquired. It is set very clear that an asset on a particular date can hardly be said to have been acquired in more than 1 year. Like I always said again, I say general practice is that where an asset can be located into more than one tax year, the allocation will be made to the earlier tax year. Hence, initial allowance can be claimed in that earlier tax year. So what we have explained now is when we talk about overlapping basis periods. But I believe when we do calculation on it, you understand clearly what we mean by overlapping basis period. The next thing you're looking at there is the gap in between basis period. Like looking at this, these are called when there's a gap between the base period of two assessment year. This type of situation usually arises when there is a change in accounting date or on cessation of business. We know what we mean by when we say a business change accounting date. Like for example, a business that prepares accounts, let's say 30th June every year, and decide to change the next year to be, let's say 31st December. You now, that period, that from 30th June to 31st December becomes the issue that you're competing for the change in accounting days. So on that note, remember you prepare for your old date and your new date. And remember, for the old date, you work based on what? Preceding year basis. Then on the new date, remember that the first year is also the commencement rule on the first year applies. So remember our cessation of business, talk about the penultimate year and the ultimate year. The penultimate year is the year the business is where you prepare for your normal assessment and your actual assessment. Then for the penultimate year is the year the business ceased or wound up. So on that day, remember, we prepare from the year on the date on the business seat. The way we compute for ultimate year is from the 1st of January of that year to the particular date the business ceased. So gap arising as a result of cessation, allocate assets to the earlier tax year. Gap arising as a result of cessation, allocate assets to the earlier tax year. Then when gap arising as a result of change of date or change of accounting date, allocate assets to a later year. So on those notes, we'll consider this illustration. We consider Alomanji Limited, the permanent year end, 31st August every year. The company wound up with effect from 31st March 96. We are required to determine when the generator acquired the time it determine. We are going to determine that should be the capital allowance, the capital expenditure where it fits in. That's what we are asked to prepare when the generator is acquired on 17 September 1995. Then looking at this, you will see that for this is a cessation question. Therefore, if the business wounded up in 1996, it means that 1996 is the what? Is the ultimate year. Why 1995 is the penultimate year. So when the asset was gotten on the 17th of September 1995. So look at the solution. We have our year of assessment, which is the penultimate year and the ultimate year. And remember, it's solved based on what? Preceding year basis. The preceding year for 95 is 94. I'm going to do the drop account. The drop account every 31st of what? August. Therefore, we count 12 months front. Sorry, 12 months back. We are having going to the previous year, which was 1st of September 1993. Then in 1996, we are having our ultimate year, like I explained, is from the 1st of January of that year, the businesses, to the date the businesses. From the 1st of January of that year, the businesses, to the year the businesses. So looking at this, we are having 1st of January 96 to 31st of what? March 96. So from the question, so the business wound up to the 1st of March 96. That we are to determine where generator set is acquired. So looking at the gap. So when was this generator? 17 September 1995. So this falls on the what? On the penultimate year. So we'll have a brief recap for what we have done today. We're looking at overlapping basis period and also basis period and also gaps in basis period. So these are the two things we've discussed tonight. In our next class, we'll bring up a question and solve the overlapping basis period. Where we see question, a very intense question. Then please, if you have question on capital allowance, you can ask. Because in our next class, we'll try winding up the topic, and I'll give out an assignment which you do. Yes, do an assignment. So please, you just take your time, and I'll drop those pictures on the WhatsApp group. So take your time, go through them. When you have questions, you drop. Even the previous classes, you can ask your questions. We are still in capital allowance. Then, in our next two classes, by then, God's prayer in our lives, we'll be through with capital allowance. Then we go into value-added tax. So please, capital allowance is a very, very broad topic. Pick up questions. I've explained to you when the business is a going concern. That's the one we solved the last time. Now I'm trying to explain to you when we are having commencement. That commencement is what we call overlapping basis period. When a basis period is common to more than 1 year of assessment. Then we talk about the gap. I said this arises when a qualifying capital expenditure is acquired on the date but does not fall in any basis period. So the significance of this is the possibility of not being able to allocate a qualifying capital expenditure. This will translate to a situation where capital expenditure cannot be claimed on an asset. The general observation is that a gap will occur in between two basis periods, mostly under this decision rule and sometimes where there is a change in accounting date. So please go through the notes. If you have any question, drop in the message box. And if you eventually maybe you are reading time, you have any question, you can drop on the WhatsApp platform. I can explain to you better. But on this singular note, thank you very much for attending the class. Good night.